Welcome once again. This is Prime News. I'm Mike Galanos. Let's get right to it. I can't wait. Casey Anthony back in court today and sporting a new look. All right, I have to admit, she walked through the doors. It seemed like maybe we're seeing a different side. There it is, the hair in the bun, the gray blazer, going for the professional look. But as you watched her in the courtroom, you realized same old Casey, smiling, laughing. It didn't seem like she had a problem in the world, almost like she was in there for a traffic ticket. That's our starting point today. We are joined by a panel of experts. We have 6 guests. There they are. Let me reel them off real quick. Upper left, Mike Brooks. Next to him, Pam Bondi, Florida State prosecutor. Dr. Brian Russell. Below Mike, Mark Eiglarsh. Down in the middle there, Marva Hinton, reporter WDBO Radio, and also Steve Helling, writer for People Magazine. They did an in-depth report, so we're going to get to everybody. This is Steve Helling, writer for People Magazine. Steve, you guys did an in-depth piece on this entire situation. Let me hit you on the topic real quick. What do you know about Casey's life in jail? Did you guys hit on that at all?
Well, we didn't mention that in this issue, but Casey's life in jail is pretty much what you'd expect. She's by herself. She gets out of the jail cell about 1 hour a day, if that, and, you know, every day is like the day before.
Hey, Steve, again, you guys really did a good job digging in on this one. Give us your most startling revelation coming out of this.
Well, one of the things that struck me is that we had a source at in the prosecution that explained to us that the blanket that was found with the body was actually part of a match set that was found in Kaylee's room. Of course, they have to go through to make sure it's exactly a match, and, you know, they'll check to see if there's any DNA from the house and that type of thing. But also the toy that was found, the little toy horse, matches a set that was in the house. So all of those things together sure give them a lot to look at.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to get to more of Steve's article, including the goings-on inside the family. Really sounds like the dysfunctional Anthony family. Real quick, though, I want to hit on Mark Eiglarsh with that. The blanket, the toy. Mark, 30 seconds here. That is huge, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't call it, as Jane Velez Mitchell would, a blockbuster. I'm sure we'll hear that at 7 o'clock. But I would say it's one more piece of the puzzle that the defense is going to have a tough time trying to explain away.
Okay. Again, taking your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN is the number. And we're going to get back to this in-depth People Magazine article, really digging in on the dysfunctional Anthony family and who ran the show. Sounds like it was Cindy. Welcome back. You're watching Prime News on HLN. We're continuing our discussion on the Caylee Anthony case. Her mom, Casey Anthony, in court today for the second time since little Kaylee's remains were found. Again, we've talked about it. Just to let you know, she's sporting a new look, kind of a dour look with the gray blazer and the hair in the bun, and maybe a new look, but still the same mannerisms that are somewhat infuriating when she's laughing and smiling in court when she's being charged for murdering her little 2-year-old girl, Kaylee. We have an expert panel lined up. We're taking your calls at 1-877-TEL-HLN. I want to go back to Steve Helling, writer for People Magazine. Again, they did some strong digging here as we look at the Anthony family dynamic. And Steve, wow, it really paints a picture that Cindy Anthony, Casey's mom and Kaylee's grandma, really runs the show, right?
Well, yes, it does. You know, George and Cindy had their problems, and there were times that Cindy would just browbeat George, and she would say just horrible things to him in front of his friends, in front of other people. And I spoke to several people who told me that. And then Casey was thrown into the mix, and there were just these huge fights between Cindy and Casey, that yelling and slamming of doors and big grand gestures of "I am leaving this house forever" type of things. And it was just an unpleasant place to be a lot of the time.
Well, welcome back. You're watching Prime News on HLN. We're continuing with the topic that we continue to cover fervently for you, the Caylee Anthony case. And there you see it. Casey Anthony charged with her little girl's murder, back in court for the second time since little Kaylee's remains were found. Again, Casey sporting a new look, trying to be, I guess, a more somber look. But again, new look, but same mannerisms. As there you see her smiling and laughing a few times in court. And many wonder, how can you do that when you've lost your little girl? We're taking your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Also have our expert panel standing by. And we're hearing a new voice in on this one. Steve Helling, writer for People Magazine. We've talked, expanded the conversation into the family dynamic with the Anthonys, what's gone on here. And before the break, Steve, I talked about the relationship between little Caylee, Casey, and Cindy, and that's a weird dynamic, isn't it?
It is, actually, and this was in some of the documents that came out, and also we spoke with Jesse Grund, the former fiance of Casey, And all of that says that when, well, first of all, when Kaylee was born, the doctors put Kaylee into Cindy's arms instead of into Casey's arms. That was the first thing, and that was a problem right there. And then there were times where Cindy would be talking to Kaylee and try to get Kaylee to call her mommy in front of Casey.
Wow.
So that tells you a lot right there.
You're right, Steve. Hey, Steve, who's the father? Can you tell us? Can anybody definitively tell us who this person is?
There have been a lot of people whose names have shown up in
Yeah.
court documents. And one thing that's very interesting is all the interviews with different friends and family, each one of them has a different story. You know, he was a security guard at Universal Studios, or he's overseas fighting in some war or something. There was always some explanation, but we don't know. I think the only one who knows is Casey.
And you're never going to get the truth out of her, probably.
Mark, is it relevant to the case? Who's the... There you see another... Heartbreaking. Again, we get back. We want our eye on the ball when we talk about this trial. Our eye on the ball with our hearts is with little Kaylee, especially when we see those pictures again. Guys, great stuff. Very spirited. Mark Eiglarsh here with us in studio. Great to have you.
Thanks.
Mike Brooks, as always. Pam Bondi, Marva Hinton, Steve Helling. Nice stuff as well. And we thank Brian Russell. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.